And then, so here is the interface of the assign module. So let's go ahead and edit it. Assign order status call, entity type and picture. So the entity type would be order status call. Picture, we will select blue ball this time and click OK. Next, we will get a delay module. We can use process module from the basic process panel and then select the delay type as delay, or we can select delay from basic process panel. However, this time we are going to select delay from block panel. So we'll go ahead and select delay from block. The main thing you have to remember is that basic panel or advanced panel objects are created using these blocks. However, if you use module from basic process or higher level templates, your model will run faster. However, just to show the functionality, I have selected this low level object from block panel. So the duration would be triangularly distributed between 2, 3, and I'll go ahead and see 2, 3, and 4 minutes. Okay, 2, 3, and 4 minutes, not 34. Okay, 3 and 4. Storage ID, I haven't shown you how to use store and unstore module. When we will build animation, at that time I'll show you. For now, that's enough. We can click OK. So people will listen to the menu. Maybe they will just input some kind of order number and then they will listen like what is their status of the order. However, some of them might think it's too late and they should have had that order by now, or maybe they want to change their address or something, they want to update something in their order. So they will opt to talk with the people in the sales department, or like that's how the company operates. Whoever wants to talk, they'll be directed to the sales support system. So around 85% of the customer doesn't need to talk to someone. They will just leave the system. However, 15% would go ahead and would talk with someone. So we'll name this decide module no sales support required. Okay. Next, we'll go to advanced process and then select seize module, place it here, and then we'll select a delay module, place it here, and then we will get a release module and place it here. Okay. All right. Next, what we are gonna do is that we'll go to basic process and we'll get assign module. We will connect the output of this false end with the input of the assign, and then we'll connect the assign with the input of the seize module. So let's go ahead and edit our assign first. What we'll be assigning here? We'll be assigning priority for assign priority for order status call. Assignment would be for a attribute. Attribute name is my priority in the sales queue. We'll give it 2 because original sales call will have a higher priority in this queue. In this process sales queue, we'll see that. Next, we'll go and edit the seize module. We'll name this seize as seize salesperson sales support for order status. What resource will be seizing? Cells. Unity seize will be 1. However, whenever we name the seize module, an automatic queue is created. But we want to use a pre-made queue. Which queue will be using? SelfSupport process queue. Because we want these entities to go over there and wait before they can talk with an agent, talk with a salesperson. So we did that. Before we forget, we'll go to basic process panel and then we'll go to queue data module and make sure we change the type of the SelfSupport queue to lowest attribute value, and then name based on which attribute this sorting will be done, based on my priority in sales queue attribute. And this is a shared queue, right? This is a shared queue between two processes. That's why we ticked in shared. We'll go back here, and over here in the assign module, I'll go to end of list, and then I'll assign an attribute called my priority in sales queue to 1. So sales call will have a higher priority for, sorry, where did I change it? I'll just go ahead and delete it. So I'll go ahead and assign that attribute over here. Attribute my sales priority will be 1. So original sales call will have a high priority here. Next, over here, we can see another way of doing it. So over here, we can see priority, right? So it has a medium priority. Priority of what? Priority of seizing this resource. So this resource, same resource can be referenced in different processes. So through this priority, we can give assign priority to each seizing or processes. Seizing of the resources that is referenced. So if you write medium here, select it, and we go over here, and then we can select high. So this process will have a higher priority for seizing this resource. So this is another way of assigning priority of seizing resources in different processes. Okay. And then I'll come back here and then I'll edit the delay module. I will name it order status conversation delay. This one is also uniformly distributed, triangularly distributed between 2, 3, and 4 minutes. We'll go ahead and click allocation will be value added because resource is involved. So it will be a value added time. And then release salesperson, sales support. Go ahead and click add. What resource you're releasing? Sales. So I'll select sales. One thing, instead of this seize delay release module separately, we could have taken the output of this assign module and paste it here. It would have done the same thing. However, I just wanted, or the book just outlined this to give the learners an idea that you can differentiate your seizing, delay, and release like this whenever you are required in a bigger model. Okay, so we are done defining our call arrival logic, tech support logic, sales support logic, order status logic. Next, we are going to create the call departure logic. We'll name it call departure logic. So we will be selecting, we'll go to advanced process and then get a release module and place it first. So seizing has been done in the call arrival logic area. And then now after either getting processed through tech support or sales support or just listening to automated voice to know the order status, the calls have accomplished its task. Now they will be leaving the system. What they will release? They will release the trunk line. So resource name would be trunk line. Click OK. Next, before we forget, let's connect the output of all these processes with this release module. 3 processes from tech support logic group. So then we have SelfSupport, and then we have group of people who called for knowing their order status and needed to talk with an agent or a salesperson. Okay, after this, we'll go ahead and get assign module and place it here. One more thing that I forgot. SelfSupport call delay type is distributed triangularly, right? Okay. However, SelfSupport order status call, which would require SelfSupport, is triangularly distributed but with a different value. So if I said like I could just take this line and put it here, that's fine. If this delay and this delay time was same. However, if I required to do that, then I need to make sure that this delay is defined using expression, and I have to create expression with 2 rows where I could write these 2 different triangular time and reference accordingly. So make sure you do that. Anyone can create this kind of silly mistake and then the whole model will work abnormally. So make sure you're referencing things in the proper way. Okay, then I'll get the output of this release with the input of this release trunk line. So in total, there will be 6 connections with this release trunk line release module. What we'll be doing here, we'll be decrementing total WIP. We have incremented WIP, total work in process, in the beginning. Now, after the calls are processed, we will decrement it. Next, we'll get a record module and place it right after the assign module. What we'll be recording? We'll be recording total completed calls. Go ahead and click here. We'll name the counter as completed calls. Next, we'll get dispose module and then just link it with the output of the record module. Name it calls leaves the system. So here is the not final, almost done model for this call center. Just to keep the uniformity, I'll just put a box around this area, and then I'll just shift these modules a little bit, and then get this text, paste it here, and name it as call arrival logic. Last modular things we are left to do is we'll be creating a cutoff logic. So far, we have always used our run tab to define the replication length. But over here, we're saying that this call center will operate for 10 hours and then new arrival will be cut exactly at 10 hours. However, they will be keep on working to flash out the remaining entities. No more new creation will be allowed in the system. So to change the value of max calls and calls per arrival after 10 hours of operation, we'll be creating a logical entity that will come and change the value of these 2 variables. So we'll get a create module here, assign module here, and then dispose module here. Okay, so we'll name this module as create logic entity arrival. Why we are calling it logic or control entity? Because the main purpose of this entity is to control the value of variables or change an attribute, change a variable value. So it's not really taking part in the whole system, but it's coming in to change the system variable or user defined variable values. Entity type would be logic entity, and type would be constant, and we'll keep this value as 99999, a real big one, and units in minutes. Entities per arrival is 1, max arrival is 1. We'll be creating it exactly after 600 minutes. Or we could have just selected hours here and type in 10. Like right after, like from the beginning of operation up until 10 hours of operation, this entity will not be created. Exactly at 10 hours, it will be created. And we have really made sure that the next logical entity is not created before 99999 hours. And over here, we have also made sure that only one of this group, one of this type entity is created through this, through assigning maximum arrivals to 1. I'll just click OK. Go over here, assign. We'll name this assign module as reassign calls per arrival and max calls variable values. Okay. Click OK. So calls per arrival will be set to 0 and max call variable will be set to 1. All right. And then dispose, we'll just name it dispose logic entity. Exactly after 10 hours, this entity will be created, and then it will reassign the value of calls per arrival to 0 and max calls to 1. So I'll delete it and okay. So that's it. Next, I'll go ahead and hit save. I'll go to run tab. I'll go to setup and we'll run it for one time. Warm up period, we are not initializing anything. Replication length, we'll keep it infinite because we'll be using terminating condition. Base time unit should be in minutes. Hours per day is 24. Let's go to build expression. We want to terminate this simulation when the current time would be greater than or equals to 600. And we have another condition to meet. When the total working process in the system would be 0. See, if these two conditions meets, if these two conditions are met, simulation run will be stopped. Go ahead and click OK. I'll click OK. I'll hit save. And next, I'll run the model. I'll just go to run and I'll hit go. And then I'll just fast forward the run. And then I'll click yes. So in total, there were 735 calls that passed through the system. And I'll go to user defined and I'll see that total attempted calls were 734. So now you might think why total entities went out of the system is 735. Any guess? Yes, you are right. Let me pause it and then run it one more time. The extra one entity that is created is what entity? The logical entity. So in total, 734 calls entity was created, incoming calls, and one logical entity was created. That's why total number of entity that went out of the system was 735. Completed calls 643, rejected calls 91. Resource utilization mostly was above 70%. All right. And then entity, I'll go to other, and then we'll see. So incoming call, so there were 735 incoming call, and then one was logical call, and then this was amount of order status call. So that ends this tutorial. I would highly suggest all of you to do this modeling by yourself one more time during watching my video or by yourself, as understanding of this logic is really important to really help you to build your own project model or any other class assignment activity or any project activity that you will be doing. Next, we are going to create schedule for the resources that we have here for tech supports and sales as well. And we'll see how non-stationary arrival process can be referenced in Arena. So that will be our next topic. Thank you all for watching this video.